And we're live, streaming from the footsteps of New York City. We are Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Thank you for joining our new and unique podcast community, where we explore the artists and the issues of the performing arts world through the triumphs and challenges, and we're delighted that you can join us today. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on our upcoming guests and topics. To see our over 168 past episodes, check out our website at www.jasontram.net. Again, that's www.jasontram.net with two M's. And we have a great guest today. We have the rock band. We have Y from Winnipeg, Canada, WHY. Their name is short, but their music is terrific. They're an alternate rock band with rock and some pop elements in there as well. And they're renowned in Canada, but really building a nice audience all over. They've been hailed on the radio up there quite a bit, Song of the Year on Kick FM in Winnipeg, and multiple times. They have 5 studio albums, and they're doing great work. They were also invited by Bono's organization One to perform for protest songs on Bono's brainchild Agitate 8 at the G8 to draw attention to extreme poverty. Also on that series was Muse, U2, Macklemore, Green Day, Sting, you name it. Wow. So welcome to the guys from Y.
Thanks.
Great to be here.
So what are things like in Winnipeg today? And just this is like a wrestling match where you can just tag in. So tag in and go.
Someone tag in.
Go for it.
Well, Winnipeg typically this time of year is pretty hot, so we're enjoying the weather, and with some of our COVID restrictions, we're just glad that we can be outside and enjoy the weather.
Well, one thing I've really enjoyed about being on the show is we get to talk to our artists and colleagues across the world, and it's been such a different reaction to the COVID pandemic from country to country. Why don't we tell us some of how has it been in Canada? How are things going today? And what's it been like being an artist in this period? I'm a college professor. I'll call in Brian. Uh-oh, we lost Brian's sound. We'll have to figure that.
Uh-oh.
How about Jeremy? We'll come back to Brian. We'll get Brian back on.
And sorry, now I forgot what the question was.
That's okay.
Regarding COVID?
Yeah, how's COVID been in Canada? What's it like in Winnipeg these days? What's going on?
Yeah, well, we have restrictions on. They've been, waiting to slowly relieve those restrictions as cases drop and people are getting vaccinated. So it's looking sunny ahead, I guess.
Has music been all remote? Has it all been streamed these days?
Yeah, there's been just a lot of that because you can't go out and perform anywhere. You can't gather in a theater or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, so we're the New York area. We're seeing the first of the live performances return, especially outdoor. I think this summer is going to be a big outdoor for the States, and it's been much more in the South. So we're seeing that. So it's spreading north, but it will be hopefully here in the months to come. We can finally get to hear some live rock again.
Hello.
There we go. Hey Brian, how are you?
Can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I was doing everything in an accent, so.
Awesome.
I was in a lot of I was in all the Canadian catchphrases. So
we'll hit all the stereotypes.
Full on, went full hoser. Yeah. How's it going, eh? Welcome.
So why don't we introduce ourselves and tell us what you do with the band? Brian, you start first.
I'm Brian. I make noises with my mouth and write lyrics.
Awesome.
Just my mouth. We've had meetings about this. Only mouth noises.
I'm Dave, and I make sounds and noises with my hands. So I'm the drummer. I hit stuff.
You hit.
And you're also a multi-instrumentalist. You told me as well in the pre. What else do you play?
I'm actually a pianist. I've trained, I guess, since I was just a toddler. So I did that for many years. and then with that sort of training, you just kind of pick up other instruments as you go. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm formally trained as a pianist, and picked up drums after the fact. So
Very nice. And Jeremy,
I play guitar, and I haven't really formally picked up the bass, but on the most recent album, I do play the bass tracks on there. I kind of just, I'm a guitarist trying to play bass, so and I do background vocals and various other things, I guess, if needed.
awesome. So now that we've met you guys, it's great to have you on here, and you're our first band from Winnipeg, so we're delighted that we can celebrate our neighbors to the north. So tell us about how did Y form, and what was it like at the beginning?
Well, that would be. I was the guy who started this thing. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm just
Hear
making
you
sure.
loud and
Okay.
clear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't burp. Yeah. I started this with a few friends. It was just kind of jamming. It was just kind of guys, just goofing around, not knowing what we were doing, and making sounds. And then it just kind of got to that place of songwriting became this thing that really was motivating. And I think it was because I realized I was terrible at covers, and I liked poetry, and I liked verse, and I liked the way words can come together and how they can paint a picture. And all the music I liked growing up had these lyrics. Sometimes they're like, I mean, look at John Lennon, very simple lyrics. My mom would play me Beatles albums and stuff, and I'd think, yeah, these are simple lyrics, but they're so profound, and that you didn't need to have this big thesaurus of phraseology to impress people to show, look how smart I am. It was the way you could use a simple phrase that could touch anybody at any place, and that really moved me. And so that was where I kind of really started to move forward. It wasn't really getting serious though until I think we really started writing and then releasing. And then finally, when Dave and I connected, at the time we had a different lineup. Dave joined the band as a drummer because we had never really had a solid regular drummer. And Dave came in, we met for coffee. I hadn't heard him play, but I just said, yeah, you're in. And he goes, but you haven't replayed. I said, I just have a good feeling. And he came in, and he, because he approached drumming like a musician, not like just some guy making a sound. He has very signature drum style. And so when you hear a piece, you go, oh, I know what that is. When I hear an opening, I go, oh, I know what song we're doing. So it's like very rare with drummers to have that signature sound. And then
It's like
there's
musical
Jeremy, you came
alchemy, right?
along. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But we've got to a place now where the three of us are so we're in a really prolific place right now where we're just kind of constantly creating. Like last night, we just finished writing a song in a rehearsal. We just and we kind of had a rough idea, and then we improvised the arrangement. And our bass player Mandy was there, and she was working on the bass line and stuff, and it sounded great. And so I think we've got another song ready to go. Hopefully, next
That's
little while.
exciting. So when did you first get to the studio, and what were some of the early influences on the band? I know what I love about talking to the members is like to see like what each person loves and brings and kind of hears, and then you put it together, and it's a totally new whole.
Yeah.
So what are some of your
Jeremy?
influences?
Eh? Me?
Sure.
My influences, definitely earlier on, I discovered U2, and so for my electric guitar playing, the Edge was a big influence on me.
So unique
what he
style.
does.
His style is so unique. Yeah.
What he does with effects is really cool, and that's what really drew me in. Like, I'm self-taught, so I'm not technically that great, but I've always been able to hear. Like, I play by ear, so, and I can envision sort of something that I have an idea of, and I can figure it out. And what I liked about the Edge's playing is how he can play such simple things technically on the guitar. What comes after that with the effects is what makes it explode into something completely different. So
What I love
love that.
about great guitar players is like you find this unique sound, and your music all has such a unique sound. I mean, I hear the elements there. That's what's great. The chords are all the same for everyone. We share the same harmonic vocabulary, but it's like everyone brings their own self to it, and you guys have a really distinctive tone, a really distinctive color.
I think with Jeremy too is that he says he's not that technically, I don't know. He comes up with some really interesting sounds, and there's times he's doing things. I go, is like we were listening to one part, and I said, is that a background vocal? Like on Not the End, I hear this kind of almost angelic vocal, and I went, who laid that down? Was that you, Jeremy? Did you sing that? He goes, no, that's the guitar. It's an effect. And I was like, well, now we got to get Manny to sing that live because it sounds like it sounds like an angelic vocal.
That's
And
funny.
we're
That
doing
did,
it live. Yeah.
that happened with another part. I think it was a guitar part, a secondary or third or fourth guitar part, whatever. It's always so many layers. And it ended up being a bass line, or vice versa.
Oh, wow,
I can't remember. I can't remember which song that was, but and it fit so much better. It was like I didn't realize I was writing a bass line at the time, but then.
Isn't that funny? How these things change and transform as you're bringing with the other. How does the songwriting process work for you guys? Like, does one of you bring material in and then it kind of expands from there, or do you all write together as a committee?
I don't know.
I think
it
so.
kind of changes. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I think sometimes, well, quite often, like we're just kind of noodling. Jeremy starts noodling something on the guitar, and I start playing along with him, and then Brian improvises something, and then we promptly forget it all and have to rewrite it again the following week. But I find it's usually Jeremy has an idea, or he's just noodling something, and the rest of us kind of, the radar go and like stop, keep playing that. We're gonna kind of build on that, and then I think because we all kind of have when we approach the music, we don't just approach it from our own instrument. But we kind of have, I think we all have a good idea of how we want songs to sound as a whole. So, when it comes time to doing, we hear something, Brian will jump in and say, hey, try this, or collectively we'll say, Dave, you need to, we need a fill to kind of transition from this to this. So I think because we all have a mind and an ear for the whole song and not just our part, that when Jeremy starts noodling on something, we all hear a song coming out of it.
And Dave, who are some of your inspirations coming into music? Who are some of your rock inspirations?
Oh, I guess early on, I was a big fan of Black Lab. It kind of that post-modern, post-grunge rock. Not that I didn't appreciate some of the grunge stuff, but I was more after the grunge, still with some maybe a little bit more commercial, a little more hooky, but still really some of those raw alternative emotions that come out of that music. So Black Lab, and I'm kind of all over the place musically, anywhere from Johnny Cash to I Prevail, and Tremonti, some of like opposite ends of the spectrum kind of music. So
that's great. It's so interesting with it. We have so much kind of musical, like there's so much background there. We can kind of put that together in something brand new. How about you, Brian? What are some of your big inspirations?
Radiohead still just blows my mind in that it's deconstructing and then reconstructing. I came in really loving the Benz album, and it's still to this day, it's like one of my favorite. I can listen to every song on it. There's a beauty and a brokenness in it, and yet there's an accessibility. It doesn't, people say, oh, Radiohead's very intellectual. No, there's a real accessible, especially on that album, a real accessibility and a vulnerability that I think anyone can relate to. Like Fake Plastic Trees or High and Dry. Street Spirit still gives me chills. And yeah, even their new album, like Burn the Witch, with all the violins in it and just the symphonic aspects of that album. So yeah, them, Muse. I love Muse because there's kind of it's almost like Queen meets Radiohead meets U2, and they all kind of had this weird baby together.
Muse.
Muse has got some, yeah, they're all over the map. They can be pop, and then they'll be like heavy, and then they'll be almost ambient. It just, you don't know what you're going to get from album to album with them. And so I like that you shouldn't expect one thing. And I think that's what we're trying to do as a band, is when we keep writing something, oh, well, this will shock them. This will, and we're not deliberately doing that. We're just like, oh, this was out of our comfort zone, but it feels really good. It's like using a new muscle every time when we write. And Jeremy, oftentimes, first time I met Jeremy, we sat down just to see how we could write together. He's noodling away, and I said, oh, what is that? Whose is that? He said, oh, no, I'm just warming up. I said, no, that's a song. Hit record, and we just always now have a phone or something rolling, because
Smart.
the improvisational nature of what we do, we lose stuff. And I really believe that there seems to be this moment where the songs are coming from somewhere else, and we're just trying to stay out of the way, but it's kind of filtering through our personalities. I've always thought, how many songs went by us and we didn't grab them, and they went off to someone else?
That's a great image. That's a great image, because the art of creation is
yeah.
always like refreshing, right? You're always refreshing. You're filling that well, so you can find that next song and put it together. And that's, it's got to be a challenge, always kind of finding new pathways forward. But it makes sense, though. Look at the bands that have long careers, and you have to grow. You can't write the same thing for 20 years. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Everyone's always growing and expanding.
Yeah. Jeremy, you're very much about that too. Sorry, I was just saying Jeremy's really great with improvisation. So we just have to be ready to go, because he's doing stuff. From the bathroom in the rehearsal hall, and he's playing and Dave's playing, and I just started doing a vocal, and I went, oh, did someone record that? Because I don't know what we just did, and it was brilliant, and it's gone. So it may never come back.
That process of creation is fleeting. You got to put it down there. Beethoven. I'm going to go back to my classical roots. Beethoven used to keep a notebook next to his bed. He woke up in the morning and he'd write down themes, and those notebooks still survive. And you can kind of get a look into his brain. He did the same thing. If you didn't write it down, he didn't have Google Memos or voice memos. But if he did, he would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank God for the tech now, so we can record something quickly, so it's not lost.
Yeah, it's really amazing times we live. So tell us about the lyric content of your music, and I noticed a lot of social themes, a lot of observing, and tell us about how you come up with the lyrical content.
I just feel it, and a lot of times we'll be doing a song or writing, and I'll just start singing, and sometimes it's not even words. Sometimes I'm just doing notes, so it's just kind of like a fake language, and I'm just emoting sounds, and they go, okay. Well, other times each verse kind of falls together, and that's why I have to go back and transcribe to go, what did I just, because with Not the End, that was complete improv, the whole thing. And I had to go back and, what did I sing there? And it's fun, because when we're in this situation, we go, you know what, we don't need a second verse, we're just going to keep going, or we'll start with the chorus, or there's no formula, but the lyric sometimes either just kind of happens. It's not like I go in and go, I'm going to write a song about this. Sometimes it's just about how you're feeling. Like Repair the Breach was, I think Jeremy and I were sitting there writing, and we were watching some video of, like, I think it was like Reverend Dr. William Barber, who's like part of was the NAACP, and he was just doing a thing on the poor people's the group he does. He does a lot of work with poverty, and it was just, he made this statement about, son of man, son of woman, get on your feet. It's time to repair the breach. And I went, yeah, because we're so divided. And it was this idea of just, can we repair this breach? And I think that's what the idea of the song is. So when we do it now, it just always feels like it's kind of a call to togetherness, not a call to arms or let's go out there, because the video feels like that, but it's more of an emotional or a metaphorical idea of fighting for unity, not fighting against it or trying to create division, but bringing unity into this, and knowing that we can just be kind, and you don't have to agree with each other. We can just be kind to each other and respectful. You can roll your eyes in private, but you don't need to make someone feel ostracized or left out. Now, I mean, if someone's a full-on Nazi, I'm not going to take the time to try to explain, okay, well, you're just a hateful person, I'm going to just step over here. But I think that we can try to default to empathy as much as we can. And that's what the new song is about. It's this idea of empathy.
That's so important. Music has that ability to unite and inspire, and people come together through music. I always say, whenever I go to another country to do a job, I get in front of an orchestra. Let's say conducted in Albania a couple of years ago. I don't even speak Albanian. I was conducting an opera. I was actually doing Porgy and Bess, an American opera. But by the end of the rehearsal process, we were all brothers. We'd go out to the cafe together. We would speak through broken Italian or broken English, and it didn't matter. It's like the act of creation brings us together. The act of music has that ability. And the audiences were really into it. It was, it's got that ability to bring us together. That's what music's all about.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
What's it like to when you put these songs together and you put them out there into the world? And what are some of the? It must be really interesting to get the responses we get, because music is so international these days. I call this the era of the indie artist, because you can put your material out there and an entire world can have access to it, like on Reverb Nation and Spotify and YouTube and all these different platforms that you get to. What's it like to see your music come back when people get to hear it?
Well, it's funny because in Winnipeg, it's a thing that no one will claim you're from Winnipeg until you're you've made it big. But for me, it's neat to see that we've got and you can kind of track through the good old interweb. You can kind of see where people are coming from. So having some followers out in Europe and UK and Ireland.
Ireland.
To me, that's neat that we've kind of crossed cultural boundaries, and it may take some time for the rest of Canada to recognize we're actually here, but that's okay.
Well, they should. Your music's fantastic, and it's all about the music when you come down to it.
Well, sometimes it feels like, I've said this to someone. Said to me one time, they said, "You're the best kept secret in the music industry," and I went, "Yeah, but we're not really part of the music industry. We're just making art. We're not trying to. It's never been about. Our idea of success is about connecting with people." And I've said the story before. Some years ago, we had a song and it was online, and someone reached out to me and said, "Every time I listen to that song, it comforts me, and I don't hurt myself. I don't cut myself." And I went, "Well, there's a hit song. That's charts and awards and even money profits. Why did you start making music to begin with? It was the idea of connecting with people. When you get off of that path, then it starts becoming a job. It's no longer a vocation or a calling. It's no longer art. Now it's a business, and you're basically just making plastic things and sending them on a conveyor belt. And that's when music becomes this conveyor belt of just white noise. And I'd much rather be known by a few, but touching those few deeply, than being known by millions and just kind of being background noise in their lives or in an elevator. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just, there's something special about connecting with somebody on a real level. And
thanks for sharing that. It's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, to write art that you're proud of, to put things that you really believe in, you worked hard, you put your heart into. I mean, back in the old days, it was the record companies put together these plastic artists. They put them out there, and probably they create this image for them. The indie artist today is the people who find indie artists. They want to find people. They want to really know what the music's about. They want to know what the social themes are about. And this is the age of the indie artists. People want to get to know the artists.
I mean, and we too write just songs so they're fun and sound. I don't think we're going in there going, let's write a deeply moving song. I think we're just writing stuff that we'd want to. I think we're like when Spielberg used to make movies. He make movies he wanted to see. So I think with us, it's like, I want to write a song that I wish I'd heard or that I would go and buy. Although now, if I hear my music, I can't. If I hear a song, one of our songs on something, it comes up like, oh no, I can't. Yeah, I've listened to this. We did the video for 6 hours. I know the song. That's not, But
remember the days when music videos were in their infancy? It's amazing how every artist has to do videos now. It's such a challenge, right?
Yeah.
How do you put your videos together? That must be a really interesting process. And I mean, people are doing amazing art with, the budgets aren't massive, but they're doing really good work. How do you guys make your videos?
That's mostly Brian.
Yeah, Brian's kind of the creative force. I think when Brian has
That's my
these
film
lyrics in his
background,
head, he sees a picture, like he sees a video kind of forming out of the music as well. So for in most cases, in all cases, the music's come first, and then But with that comes this idea of a story that in some of our videos have, we've really been able to, kind of go down the rabbit hole of what that story is, and I think in the case of The Prophet, I really enjoyed that, and it turned out to be like a short film, and was
And a week-long shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was intense, and but a lot of these things are Brian's brainchild. That he has these ideas, that form with the lyrics. So, and the ideas and the creative thinking behind the videos are predominantly Brian's. So,
yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
no, but I think that's because I started out thinking I'd be a filmmaker, so that's where that.
Oh, so it was a natural transition.
Sorry, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You were gonna say something?
Totally. Well, no, I was just saying. Yeah, it is. I agree with what you're saying. It's very natural for you because it's clearly you're passionate about that. And I just show up and you tell me what to do and do this. Okay, we're playing this part. Okay.
Don't suck.
Act.
Just
Act.
try to act. Yeah,
I always find it
he's a
interesting
director.
You guys don't play. Obviously, the music's already been recorded, and you're kind of just like you're acting on it. It must be interesting to not have your amps plugged on, right? To plugged in. And,
It's man, for me, it's so awkward. It's the most awkward thing to do.
He's hooked up the first, I think, couple of videos. He actually hooked up and had it on, and it was because we want the lights, so you hear this. And but it is weird. I find it weird to lip sync. So sometimes I'll try to sing, but then I find I'm landing differently because I'm singing it the way I sing it live, and sometimes I hold a note longer. Or because live the song grows. No one wants to. I mean, I don't know if people do want to see us play the album, but we do. We'd like to see the song evolve and expand. And so when the video's done, then we're looking. Gee, we don't even play it like that. We play it. This is longer. That part is shorter. Dave has a big ending on that. There's a big crescendo that's not on the album. It resolves. So there's no it's a weird thing because you almost feel like you want to go back and re-record the songs after you played them for a year. And we when we released Despite All of the Darkness, we were planning on releasing before Christmas, and it was 2019 before Christmas, like the end of 2019, and then 2020 we're gonna play shows and we're gonna do these mini tours and go everywhere, and then everything changed. So then we had to figure out, so can we perform live with no one there? Will it feel the same? It doesn't.
No.
But
miss the energy of the crowd, right?
Yeah, there's something very special there, but we had to put everything on hold, and so people went, and I was thinking, well, 2019, that's an old album, that's 2 hours. But then I talked to other artists, and they go, yeah, we all released an album then. I mean, someone said, the Dixie Chicks dropped an album, now they have to tour a 2-year-old album and act like it's a new product. But I think a lot of the Killers released an album around the same time, and now they have to tour this album that's been out for 2 years. And that, and maybe it's better that way because now people really know the songs. I don't know. It just feels weird, and that's why we wrote "Calloused Heart" right in the middle of all this. We thought, let's just release something new, and it was a song that we had been fiddling with and never made it on the album. And Jeremy kept playing it in rehearsals as a warm-up. We gotta just finish writing this, and it wouldn't have come out like that if we hadn't been in the rehearsal hall together. I think if it had just been Jeremy and I or us doing it in pieces, it just wouldn't be. So thankfully, this rehearsal hall situation has made us actually write in a big room with big sound, and it feels, we can write in a small situation, but this just feels better. It feels really, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to the little demo studio again. I want to keep writing in a big room.
Calloused Heart was the
And
first
maybe
song I heard
sound
of you
check,
guys.
too.
And it really just hit home. Like, these guys are really, really great. I mean, I love the music. I love the energy.
Thank you.
And, it's the type of band that I said, man, I wish I could see you guys live. Because, when I hear a great rock band, I like listening to studio work, but I'm like, man, I want to hear that on the stage. I want to feel the bass drum, resonating through my chest. And that's when you're at a good rock show. But certain bands are going to have a live color. And you guys really, I was watching going through some of the other videos I can dig up, and I heard some great. The live is such an important part of the equation. What's it like taking studio work and then bringing it to live? And how does it change the work when it gets to the stage?
It's for me, it feels sometimes for certain songs a bit of a daunting task because I tend to get carried away in the studio with layering different guitar parts. So
Yeah.
I have to pick and choose kind of what's the prominent piece, here, and what stands out mostly here that people are going to recognize more. Some of it's just background and you don't even need to worry about it. But yeah, it's sometimes a challenge depending on the song, just to figure out, because like we might end up playing just a 4-piece, drums, bass, guitar, and vocals, and it has to be simplified in some way. So
Yeah.
can be a
when
challenge.
Eric comes in, we have Eric, our keyboardist slash rhythm guitarist, and
Yeah.
he learns really quickly, and he's great, and he's a great stage performer as well. He's just, if you've seen any of the live stuff, he all over his keyboard. I think he's wrestling with his keyboard.
He's very...
but it's kind of it's weird, because then we got to go, well, is that something Eric could do on guitar, or could that be a keyboard part? This other song we haven't released yet, was Drowning in the Shallow End, and he came up with this great organ piece that then switches over to like almost a ragtime piano ending. And I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. So now we have this little gap, and we let the keyboard happen. Now when we're rehearsing and Eric's not there, because we don't always have him, he just shows up before shows and rehearses with us. It's weird not to have that organ there. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, that's kind of missing. It's a weird thing, because we're trying to figure out, how do you reproduce this? Do you need to reproduce all of it? I remember people say, well, how are you going to do that? It's got a choir. How are you going to do that? Well, we'll get the audience to sing. That's what I do. I just get the audience. Guys, this is the lyric.
Everyone loves
join
that,
in with
hearing,
us.
singing along when they hear the song. It's just so exciting. It makes the experience emotional. It makes it your own. It's new each time.
I don't think I don't go to shows to see the album. I can listen to the album. I mean, you might as well lip sync to it then. I mean, but when I go see a show, like I see Muse perform, and I see a totally different version of how they do stuff, or Radiohead, how they do it differently, or I like the inconsistencies. I like even when they kind of shift, or even if there's a little mistake, I kind of like the humanity of that. There's something very special about a live interpretation of a song by a band. And when they do it perfectly like the album, I'm like, how much of that is tracks then? I'm not really hearing.
I always
your
wonder
performance.
myself, and I'm a big. I don't like Pro Tools. I don't like to hear a gospel choir on the stage when there's no gospel choir. It kills me as an artist. I'm like, man, that works hard work to put a gospel choir together and make them sound good. Just press a button, It's like, oh.
If we get a choir, we'd bring them on. If there's people who want to come on stage and be a choir, or if there's a cellist who wants to play the cello part or whatever, come on, we'd love that. So
it's exciting. It adds another element to the music. Yeah. That's just.
Yeah.
Have you guys experimented with like symphonic instruments in any of your writing?
MIDI wise.
Yes. Yeah.
But we have it in our heads that we would love to do it. Yeah.
I think
Jeremy, go for it.
Some of the guitar parts that I come up with, I think in the back of my head feel like I'm writing string pieces sometimes, because I tend to come at it sometimes like I'm a guitarist trying to be a synth player, and long sustaining sounds and stuff, rather than like maybe I should be a synth player. maybe I'm not playing the right instrument, but I think that comes from I remember I have this memory of when I was young, maybe 10 years old, around there, so pretending to conduct. I was listening to a CD of Hollywood film classics,
Star Wars and Jaws.
famous and like old films too, like Clockwork Orange, stuff like that, and
Lord of the Rings.
And there's actually even,
can't beat that.
I think there's a recording of me standing in front of the window in our living room, and I have the music playing, and I'm pretending to conduct through it, and I'd listen to it so much I'd have memorized the pieces. So music is just, I love music, so it's just, I feel it, and yeah.
Yeah, that kind of symphonic ideal. It's just, there's always like new textures you can add and new ways you can approach it, and that, they always say that necessity is the mother of invention. So when you're writing pieces and you're filling them out with your different parts, you really have to think like a synth player or a string player, or there's so many kind of possibilities and endless possibilities.
Well, you scored the beginning of the Prophet video too. You scored that whole scene with his guitar. In kind of a one-off.
Threw that together.
Yeah, it was cool though, and that's why I went. You could start scoring movies, man. Yeah.
And some artists have, rock artists have gone on to do film scoring.
Yeah.
And like Danny Elfman, and certainly who was the other one I was thinking of? Oh, it was the drummer
Johnny from Radiohead.
Stuart Copeland from the Police.
Yeah,
been very successful in that field.
Well, Johnny from Radiohead does a lot of scoring too. So Johnny, the guitar player from Radiohead, does a lot of soundtrack, and it's same with Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, along with John Baptiste, when they did the Soul soundtrack.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yes.
So cool. Yeah. So you guys have been together for a long time. You've had a long time to work with each other and to grow as artists. Tell us about the evolution of your musical style from the earliest albums until the more recent. What are some of the things you've added to, you've learned? I mean, I always love to talk to Nashville artists about the learning in the studio. First time you get there, it's it's so much to learn, so much to process. What was it like as you've grown as artists, each of you, and then together?
I think
in the studio it's different. Yeah.
Technology certainly has helped along the way. It's opened up a lot of different things you can do, even with a limited budget. Even, if I went in and I had a $10,000 drum kit, yes, I would mic it all, but I don't. and so we've relied on some of the technology to expand some of the things that we can do.
We're all playing. It's just we're messing around with tech to make it sound bigger. When you're an Indian on a budget. We're in a very small studio, but it's Green Egg Studios in Winnipeg with Steve Green, who is really
good work being done there.
He's been producing us for a long time, and he really gets. He produces everybody though. He's produced hip hop to country to pop.
Wow.
Yet he's a kind of a metal guy. But when he hears guitar, he'll go, Jeremy, I have an idea to make that sound thicker. Let's have you drop tune and kind of go underneath that and fill it in. Or he's really good with that. And with the drum sounds, him and Dave will sit there and they'll fiddle with the drum sounds. And I go home. I can't stay for it's like they're editing a movie or something. It's like CGI. They're spending hours going, okay, let's try that again. Let's do this. I'm going to change the symbol on this. I'm going to go with a ride this time. And it's just like, I gotta go. It's fun to watch for the first 3-4 hours, and then you go, okay, this is just Snyder cut stuff now. It's cool, but I can't watch you make it. It's gonna take too long. Yeah.
Bring me in a bit later.
Yeah, but it's magical, and Steve's great because he's one of these guys who can take a band, and with him as a producer, he doesn't have a signature sound. Like when you hear the production, you go, oh, that sounds like Steve Green. It sounds like, no, that sounds like Y. Or that sounds like this artist or that artist. He makes you sound the best version of yourself. So you still hear yourself. You hear it the way you heard it in your head. You heard it in the rehearsal hall. And he goes, and he's able to get that and then take it and make it something that works really well in your headphones or in your car. And he gets the emotion of what we're trying to go for too. So I think that's really cool. Is that he listens to us and he isn't trying to shape us.
Have you worked with one producer the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great when you find that successful formula, because that producer, I've always liked to talk. I should have some producers on the show. It's like that fifth member. I love the fact that he can take what you do naturally and then kind of have new ideas, new perspectives, a new path forward, and it just makes it's like that synergy. It just makes it even greater than the whole.
I think too is that he's a friend of ours. We've known him for years, and we trust him. I don't think I trust anybody else. And that's weird. I think if we got even big, I think we'd still go, yeah, that's great. We're going to produce Steve. Oh, well, then we're going to do it in New York. Okay, but Steve's coming. Yeah, we just want him there in the room. I mean, he's also a great live sound guy, too. He's incredible with sound. He's got this ear, but he has to stop. He'll get to a certain point and go, okay, my ears are too tired. It's not, I'm being deceived by my ears. I don't want to continue. We're gonna pick this up tomorrow. I gotta let rest my ears. He's like about frequency. Like we'll do something and we'll go, see, the tambourine sounds weird. So I'll find the frequency and I'll adjust that. And like, how do you even hear that frequency? It's like he's like some kind of weird dog, and you can just hear these sounds. And we're like, okay,
He's
cool.
a wizard.
Yes.
Wizard of Sound.
Oh yeah.
Bring up
You
that Lord of the
shall
Rings
not
reference.
bypass. Yeah.
You can make all the Lord of the Rings.
You shall
I'm
not
a huge
auto-tune.
fan.
Nice.
So yeah, I appreciate you guys. It's so great to have you here to talk about these things. What do you have to say to people who say that rock and roll is dead? I've been hearing that since I was a kid, and I heard Van Halen talk about it on interviews. Like when we came up, everyone said rock and roll was dead. What do you have to say about that? And how do you like reinvent rock and roll and keep it fresh?
I don't think it's dead. I think it's just been ignored. That's all. It's just like anything. Jazz is dead. No, it's just being heard by different people. Whoever has the most attention, the loudest kid in the daycare gets the most attention. So sometimes it's the worst kid. So sometimes the worst music. The worst music gets attention because it's the loudest. And also, was it Moby said that smart people steal their music and dumb people pay for it? And I went, oh wow, that's not cool. But maybe some of the more intelligent music's just being stolen. So if you want better music on the charts, hey, smart people people with discerning taste start actually buying your music, and that will shape. I mean, the charts are a load of garbage anyway, but it has to come down to a song and a listener. It has to come down to a song and a listener, and so. And I'm finding a lot of younger kids are getting into rock again. Like, it's weird. Our fan base, we had a bunch we thought, well, let's go on TikTok. And we're over 1,000 in a week of followers. And people were going, oh, I love you guys. And started buying our music. And I'm like, these are 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and 20-year-old kids. And it's like, well, 20-year-old's not a kid. But I mean, just the fact that, whoa, okay, because we're not really TikTok savvy. I mean, it's mostly people doing funny videos, or they're doing, we're just like posting clips of music videos or live performance clips.
Fantastic.
And people are responding to it, and we're like, okay, I think our next step is try to start working with Twitch and see if we can get some live performance going that way. We did stream on YouTube and Facebook and so on, but Twitch is such an interactive community, especially the music community, and the people, the fans as well. They're there to support music, and you go into someone's chat and they go, oh, you're a band? Boom, let's talk about you guys. Like, whoa, okay. But it's nice that there's a supportive community there. But I think it comes down to, is rock dead? No, I think any music style is always evolving. I just think it sounds different now. I think what happens, you get guys that are done music a certain way, and they go, well, no one likes the way we're doing it. But you look at bands that have evolved. I mean, look at Radiohead, look at Muse. If you look at Muse's first album, and you look at what they're doing now, they're constantly evolving. If you want to just keep producing the same formula, people, are going to get bored with you, and you go, oh, I guess rock's dead. No, they're bored. Try evolving. Don't just keep making the same meal over and over again. Here's granola with yogurt. Here's granola with yogurt and blueberries. It's still granola with yogurt. Try something else.
Nice burger.
Expand.
Like that.
Yeah. Take a chance. Take a chance on failure. If you take a chance on failing, that's when great music happens. It's when artists get scared of being, oh, this one may not chart. It might be a flop and critics will hate it. That's great. Be willing to fail to get to that next place musically. I think that's the thing. If you're scared to go off formula, then you're not really being an artist. You're being
what a great advice.
You're being an industry. You're an industry.
That's such great advice. We have a lot of young people listen to the show, and that's such great advice to anyone coming up is don't be afraid to fail. Get out there. You're going to have to fail to learn what your true style is, to get out there and, and through those creative dead ends, you find the true path that comes with those experimentations. So thanks. That's really, really insightful and powerful.
When I like Jeremy and Dave, they'll just do weird things sometimes, and like Dave will come up with a weird drum pattern, or it may be a dance beat, but he's doing it full out. But that's a dance rhythm, isn't it? But there's no rules. If there's a jazz rhythm or something, let's say if Jeremy comes in and starts doing some kind of weird blues-related thing or a jazz riff, or there's no people go, well, what's a Y song? It's anything that comes out of us. There's no formula. There shouldn't be a formula. That's the dangerous place. That's when you become an industry. You become pandering to, just making sure that everyone's buying it. Well, no, it's okay if people don't like it. That's also good. It's okay to be disliked, as long as you're being honest. I'd rather be honest and have people hate what we did than be making something. Oh, this is fantastic, and I'm like, I hate playing this live. You know, that's you know.
Yeah, if
And
you don't
Jeremy and
enjoy
Dave-
what you're doing, you got to
Yeah.
do something else. That's the music is not the easiest way to make a living. You got to really love what you're doing.
And these guys really do push me. They push me out of my comfort zone every time we write, every time we perform, even rehearsals with established songs. They push me further out, and I go, I love it. Keep pushing me out of my safe zone, the place I'm safe singing in. I like being pushed, and they're more innovative than I am. I think they're pushing the boundaries, and I'm just going along for the ride. So I'm very blessed to have these two guys to work with and have them as friends, because they really they make me a better singer.
Oh, Brian.
Oh, shucks. Oh, Brian.
Some emotional, and that's why you guys have stayed around as long. It's so you hear these stories about bands that like they break up in these superstar famous bands. You're like, wow, even with all the money and the fame, they just can't stay together if there's no cohesion there. How do you maintain that cohesion over all these years?
Lineup change.
Yeah.
In the same lineup. That's it. When you're indie, when you're indie and you don't have money to keep people, okay, well, we're all on salary. And the thing is, this is the most cohesive lineup that I've been in, and I feel like we're hitting our show. Like Dave and I have been going at this for over 10 years, longer. I think we met 2009 or something, 2010, 2009,
2010, yeah.
or 8, I don't know. But we've just been going, and then Jeremy is someone we were aware of. Actually, we did a show and we opened for Jeremy's band at that time, and I thought, that guy's amazing. And then Dave said, well, I know that guy. And I said, well, he'd never join our band. So we just never bothered asking him.
Yeah.
And I used to
we
think,
opened for you.
That's the
actually.
guy. No. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was for you. They were far better.
Yeah. No.
But,
and that was years ago.
2007, something like that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I kept saying to Dave, oh yeah, and Dave goes, yeah, he's really great. I said, yeah, but he wouldn't play with us. And we just never thought, it's sort of like, well, let's see if Pavarotti will join the band. It's just never ever thought to even try. And then one day I ran into, I was talking to him, and it was like, suddenly he was like, well, we should try writing it. Okay. And we just started writing, and I was like, why didn't we talk to this guy 5 to 10 years ago? This would have been awesome. It'd have been way easier, because it was just, we weren't hearing the sounds. And then when we do something, I can hear the song the way I thought it should. Like, he brings it to life when it's in my head or what's in Dave's head or vice versa. I'm hearing what's in there. He's somehow able to capture this emotion that pushes me further vocally. I mean, I'm just like, like last night, there was a part in the song where it's supposed to take off, and I'm hitting the vocal, and he just comes in behind me and just pushes me up. And then Dave, and the same with the bass, and Dave and the two of them are just, it's like they're lifting me up. So I don't have to work that hard, because they're really propelling me. They're like the rocket fuel to my little showboat of a vocal. And so yeah, I just think that we're in such a great place, and we're in such a prolific place right now, that we're not going to stop writing. We're going to keep writing, because stuff just keeps coming. So just don't stop until it dries up, and then wait for the next one.
When can we expect
If we
another
end up
album
having-
or an EP release? What's kind of on the docket for you guys?
It's about money, really. It's about money. We probably could record an EP right now. We got enough material.
Yeah.
It's just we don't have the cash, and so we'll do it song by. That's what we did. Calloused Heart. We could have done a whole EP. Ideally, we'd like to do an EP during this, so when we're finished, we'd have the album and an EP to kind of accompany it. But it costs money. It costs money to record. I mean, Steve's great with us financially. He's really been helpful, and he's given bend over backwards trying to make things work for us. But I mean, he's trying to make a living too, so we can. Hey, buddy, can we just do this on a budget? We'll pay you with like chickens and goats, and it just isn't gonna go Mad Max it. We've got some pumpkins and some eggs from the band Colony. We could just.
So how can people support the music of Why? How can people go out? How can people who are listening go out and support your band? Buy merch? How can we have people go your way?
Streaming is great, but buy the songs. Just go to iTunes. At 99 cents may not mean much to you, but it means a lot to us. So if you buy the album, it's $8 or something. That feels like $8. But you know what? When you buy music, it does help us keep going. That's what's going to keep us going. Also now when we get Twitch going, but we have a merch thing on our website, whytheband.com. There's some merch that you can buy. But the money really comes from, because the merch is priced in a way that we don't make a lot of profit on it, because we're trying to make sure people just have our stuff on them. But the music, buy the music. I mean, 99 cents a song, or an $8 album, it does add up, and it will keep us going, keep us covering rental gear and the room, which we rent every month, and just keep the music coming.
So important.
Also, you could just
support the bands you like. It's tough time for artists, and you want to support these people who work hard.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what Twitch does. I think there could be something really cool there for us too. So
it's a thriving.
So we can
music
play live,
community.
and
I've been hearing about it, and everyone's talking about live performances on Twitch and live streaming on Twitch. So you had to check that out. So what's something
and people are tipping, and
yeah, that's great that people could tip and directly support the artists they believe in. So in the midst of all this COVID comes and closes down everything. I know you guys were very busy planning tours and concerts and putting out all this work. What's something each of you have learned during this period, and how's it going to help you when you go back to the stage?
I'm more comfortable as a singer now. I don't get in my head so much. I really do just go with, because that was my problem. I always got in my head and I over sing, trying to keep up with what they're doing. I always felt like I was trying to keep up with their playing and trying to live up to their performance. I just inhabit the song. I'm not sure. Dave and Jeremy seem to be, they're on all cylinders right now. I'm so impressed with their playing right now. So I know, Dave, have you found a change in how you're doing music?
Well, music in and of itself has an energy to it, but there's certainly something that you miss when you don't play in front of people, and COVID's really made that hit home, that we need people. We were never meant to be alone, or even on a grander scale. Life was not meant to be done alone. So for me, this whole COVID thing really hit home, that we're in this together. So how can we better support each other and things like that. So it's for me, I can't wait to get back, not in front of people, but with people.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's that connection. I just had my first rehearsal last Friday with one of my summer jobs. I'm the music director at a large theater where we do music all summer, and we had 100 people come out for the first rehearsal. I had a year and a half since I've seen live people. We were all like emotional. I was out of shape. My conducting was a mess, but it didn't matter. We were all kind of in tears, and everyone's voices were tired by the first song. But it didn't matter. That's not what it's about. It's about community. It's about people, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think Jeremy? we don't have. Yeah.
Lead us.
Definitely similar to Dave. It's been hard to feel as passionate, I think, about playing, because you really do miss that, playing in front of people. But I think I've also been able to, because we released the album just before all this happened, right? And so we've had to sit and stew with all these songs, and then we've played them so much just in rehearsal. I've been able to kind of come at them at a different perspective. A lot of the songs have evolved, actually, in terms of my guitar parts. They're different than they are on the album in some ways. I do different things. They've kind of they've aged, I guess you could say.
Fine wine, that makes sense.
Like a fine wine. So I guess I used to be one to, especially with covers, I would often approach doing covers like trying to do it exactly the way it's done, right? Everything's got to be the same, but and even in terms of playing my own song, I have to play it live. Well, I want to do it exactly how it's done on the album, but I think I've loosened up in that way and allowed myself to just experiment a little more and not worry about it that's okay. It's okay. It can even improve the song. So
Yeah.
I say COVID's made us all philosophers, right? Because we've had so much more time to think. We're not traveling, it's
So
changed
true.
everything so much. But I can't wait to see you guys on the stage. When you hit the Northeast, I'm definitely there. I'm definitely there. I'll be
Oh,
one
thank
of the
you.
first.
Thank
Have
you.
you guys played?
Great.
Have you toured the States recently?
No.
No.
It's all been Canada. We've
Okay.
been, that's the problem with indie. It's budget, and where hopes are to go to the States. We'd love to go to Europe. We really want to go to Ireland. We've got some really good. I don't like to say fans. I don't think we have fans. I think we have friends. We have friends, and we have a community. And there's some good people in Ireland that would be very supportive. We'd love to go to Ireland, and I haven't been there since like just before 2000. It was really beautiful, and it's still probably really beautiful, and beautiful people who love music. It's a real music culture. I mean, everyone seems to sing or play or something. I mean, it sounds like a stereotype, but
It's a
they're
ballad
really
culture,
music focused.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a poet's culture. Yeah,
Some great
everybody
inspiration out
has
there, I'm
something.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we want to get out there and do it. We want to get out there and play.
Well, I see.
So, yeah,
Your music's
there's-
fantastic, and people are going to love it when you get there. And,
Thank you.
I-
Thank you.
How can people find out more about you? Where can they go to engage with you guys and learn more about your music?
All our social media is on our website. So whytheband.com. So it's whytheband.com. And it's all there. So all those social links, and same with our YouTube channel, which is in the description here. Is just we're at Why the Band on, and on most of our other social media is like Why_music. But just go to whytheband.com. There's also a links in our channel, our YouTube channel as well. So, and we respond to people. If you have questions or you want to talk to us, we're there. We're accessible. So.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brian, Dave, and Jeremy. This is the band Y, and make sure you check them out. These guys are fantastic, and when they come back to the stage, you'll want to be there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
All the
having
best,
us.
guys. Thank you for joining us on Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to like us on Facebook and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. And remember, keep music alive.